Hey everyone, today we're going to be turning not this, but this into this. Now, originally this was supposed to be a sort of funky crystal ball type decoration, but ran into a lot of issues trying to source one for a decent price. Now, I've done a bunch of these craft projects before, all thanks to these guys who keep sending me circuit boards for free. And I do want to stress, no money's change hands here. This is not a paid advertisement. I'm not being paid to say nice things about them. Now, if Kitty can stop walking on the crinkly plastic. Now, PCBWay can do a lot of fancy stuff for you, but I'm just going to demonstrate in this video that you don't need to be a rocket scientist to use their service. Don't even need to know how to design a circuit board. They've got this public repository full of cool projects where you can download plans for free, no strings attached. And if you want them to make it for you, it's almost a one-click and done deal. So nothing to lose by checking them out. And again, I'm not being paid to say nice things about them. If I had any issues using their service, I'll let you know. So I picked a few boards that'll give me some good options depending on what I ended up making. And good thing I did, because a lot of the parts from AliExpress never arrived. Anyways, this one can become a little light ring. This one is actually a wacky LED earring, and this one is basically a solar garden light. Now, after careful consideration, I've chosen to go with the earring. Why? Well, mainly because I'm missing a lot of the main parts to populate these other boards. And in any case, I'm jumping a bit ahead here. Let's go back a few days. So apparently this thing is just a fancy popcorn bowl. I'm not sure who's using something like this, but you do you, I guess. So start off by disassembling it, and thankfully there's only 5 screws and no clips on it. And since the ultimate plan is to paint this thing with a sort of distressed antique look, we're going to need to make sure that the paint's going to stick to it, not flake off. And because this thing has an almost gloss exterior, that's not going to be good for paint adhesion. So I grabbed some high grit sandpaper and started scuffing it. Now, because of the small corners and the non-flat nature of the pieces, and the fact that this was crappy used sandpaper, it was getting a little bit frustrating. Then I remembered I had some knockoff magic erasers. Apologies for the noise in the background. This one's roaming around. So in any case, the knockoff magic erasers, those were a game changer. So there's a hot tip for you if you ever need to scuff up a weird looking glossy popcorn bowl. Next, I brushed off the dust and I started coating each piece with a base coat of Mod Podge tinted with black paint. Picked up this trick from Black Magic Craft, and I've used it in this other video as well to make this mask. In any case, once that was dry, I just mixed up some dark metallic paint using a lighter metallic paint that I had, and just tinting it with some black paint. Also, everything I'm using is just cheapo acrylic paint that you'd find in a local dollar store. Next up, I'm going to dry brush some reddish paint on it to imitate corrosion. And what's dry brushing? Exactly what it sounds like. Take a brush you don't care about, make sure it's not damp at all. You're going to dip and nearly fill your brush with this highlight color. Then, and I know this seems counterintuitive and possibly quite dumb, you're going to wipe off almost everything on a piece of paper towel. You want to get to the point where almost nothing comes off the brush when you wipe it. Remember, you can always come back and add more, but it's a royal pain to fix it if you add too much. So just take your brush and go to town now. What should happen is that the edges and imperfections are going to catch that paint from the brush, highlighting them. Works really good for terrain pieces in wargaming as well. Next, we let that dry, and I can hear you saying, that paint was way too brightly colored. It's going to look awful. Don't worry, trust the process. Next up, we're going to use some liquid magic to hide all the flaws. This is black wash, and it's literally just water with a few drops of black paint in it. All we're going to do is just give this thing a nice coat or two of this. This will give everything sort of a dark tint, as well as hiding any bits that would normally stand out by kind of blending the colors together. You'll probably want to add a little bit extra in the corners and cracks, but that's up to you. You can always go back and add more to a certain point, obviously. Then once that's dry, we can pop this whole thing back together and end up with this. Now, normally I would have filled these cracks in. and made it look seamless, but I'm not sure if I'll need to open this thing again, and having options is a good thing. So that brings us to this point now. We're going to use this weird earring. I'm going to pop some red LEDs on this. Place that down in the bottom there, then maybe put some of these weird glass rocks on top of it to see if it looks any cooler. And good news, at least most of the parts for this board arrived. Most importantly, the battery holder right here. Was afraid I'd have to resort to using wires and a rubber band for this. Also, I had ordered 3 different types of switches, and of course the one that would have been perfect for right there never arrived. I got this one and one that's slightly bigger than this, which maybe I can get this to work. We'll see. At the very least, it'll be hidden at the bottom. And these right here, this is the battery holder. It's going to be soldered onto the back there. So it's later in the day, and I believe the switch dilemma might be solved. Just had a late delivery from Avalon here, and I've now got these things here. This is a battery holder with a switch on it already. So theoretically, I should only need to solder these wires to the battery terminals, then maybe just bridge the switch right there. So we'll see if that works out. Okay, so FYI, it's now another couple hours later, and no new packages, but thankfully I think this thing will work pretty good for what we need. These are the LEDs that I got. And these things are extremely tiny. Should fit in there, no problem, but these are going to be a right pain to solder. So let me try removing one of these and see how bad this is going to be. And it's gone. Okay, attempt number 2. That is going to be ridiculous to solder in place. And how am I even going to tell what's positive and negative on this thing? Okay, so I've taken this picture right here, and you should see some green markings. And most of the sources I'm seeing on the internet seem to agree that the flat line is closer to the positive side of the LED. And yeah, next time I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to the LED sizes. However, I do have a couple of backup plans. This is a UV LED. However, I don't think that color is what I'm going for. But I also have this 3mm red LED, which might just do the job. Let's try dropping that in there. That might actually work. So here's what we're going to do. Going to connect one LED to maybe right there, and we'll hook this up to the battery terminals, then jumper these switch contacts right there. And I do believe the LEDs are not in parallel, so I may have to end up bridging the ones I don't use. And actually, instead of just guessing, let's see if these things are linked in parallel. Looks like we might be in luck. So the ring of outside contacts, as well as that one right there, are going to the switch. Inside contacts are going to the negative of the battery terminal. And now that I'm thinking about this, all I really need to do is pop one here and one there after the switch. and we should be golden. So I'm just going to mount the LED like this. I've just twisted the legs at the end. This is probably not something you should be doing. Very good chance something might pinch these together and short circuit them. So I'll start off by just tinning a set of pads. And now I'll use my old man eyes to try to get this thing lined up. That should do it. Now we're just going to check to see what's positive and negative on this. And here we go. So this one here is positive. Sort of got these kind of white stripes. I'm not even sure if you can see that on camera. But either way, I'm going to mark this. Turn this back off. I'll go ahead and tin these pads now. And let's see if we can connect this without grounding anything out. That one should be okay. And so should that one. Now let's see how badly we messed up. And actually works. Okay, so let's see how this looks. And we'll see if we need to add any more LEDs in here. So we'll turn it on. Place it at the bottom. And we'll dump a bunch of these in there. Pop the lid back on. Let me set the overhead light to the lowest setting. And that's what it looks like. Let me angle you guys a little bit better. And actually, let me put the handle back in. Almost forgot about that part. Handle has just been painted flat black. And this is what we end up with. So if I kill the overhead light now, we end up with this. And I know it looks like it's showing that there's a hot spot right there, but it's not visible to me. Everything looks more or less even at the top. So let me turn this back on again. And you know what? Overall, considering all the wacky substitutions I had to do, this didn't turn out half bad, I think. Let me go see what the wife says. Back in a second. Alright, so the wife said it looked okay. I'll take a couple of glamour shots now, but I think I might run into the same issue I've had with every other project I've done for PCBWay. Namely, anything to do with LED lights doesn't seem to come across that well in camera. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. And just in case you're wondering, this little button that used to be there, decided not to put it back in, figured it'd look better like that. And as for stuff that I could improve, when I mixed up the metallic paint for the top, I mixed it a couple of shades lighter than what I ended up putting on this here. And if you'll notice, the black showing through the metal here, that sort of tarnished effect doesn't really show up as well here because I ended up having to put a double layer of the metallic paint here. Second layer was to darken it up a little bit, and there are a couple of spots where the black kind of bled out a little, like right there, but considering that it's right in the seam, kind of looks somewhat natural, I guess. But in any case, this turned out to be more of an exercise in making do with what I have. And yeah, I think this might have a spot outside come this Halloween. Thanks for watching. Take care.